In this episode, I'm going to be running through how I am using momentum to get myself unstuck. In my life right now, I have all these big dreams and things that I want to accomplish. I've always been a dreamer, even dating back to when I was a little kid. The problem with that is it causes us to be stuck in our minds a lot, and we can be paralyzed by the analysis of what we should do, why we should do, what we think we should do, listening to others and what they think we should do. And it causes this internal conflict that's very hard to get out of. Some of the things that have helped me over my lifetime get out of little ruts are fitness, going to the gym, sports, playing in athletics, hanging around other people that inspire me, reading books. But this is a little bit different. I'm in a place in my life where I've had some W's over the years. I've done a bunch of different things. I graduated with an engineering degree, went into the corporate world, left the corporate world, was personal training and doing nutrition consultation, was doing well at that, shifted into helping other trainers and health coaches grow their businesses, got involved with other businesses and helping them scale. I've invested in a few businesses. I've invested in real estate, in the stock market. I've had a couple W's, but now I want more. It's something that I want to personally level up my skills and utilize the skills that I have earned through a couple of those W's and amplify them and scale them because I want to make a larger positive impact. And when I think about solving this problem for myself, I go back to the beginning. What starts anything for anyone is one step. It's just taking that first step. Sure, you can think through and you can plan and strategize, but until you take that first step, you didn't really do much. So I'm focused on what is that next step that I want to take? And not only just that, how do I build momentum with that step? Because one of the things that hurts the possibility of where I'm trying to go is if I keep starting things and then stopping them. That doesn't help me. It might have helped me 10 years ago in my career where it's like try a bunch of things, start them, see what I like, see what I don't like. But I really know what I enjoy now. And the struggle really is like, because I know what I enjoy and because I have these big dreams, I put this pressure on myself as if I should have it all figured out and I should know what the next steps are. But when there's no blueprint, it's never easy. It's never easy to take that first step. And it's never easy to not second guess yourself when you do take that first step. So one of the things I've been really focused on recently is how do I build momentum in my life again in terms of the areas of my life that I want to scale. One of those ways is with my fitness and my training. Let's use that as an example because that's going to parlay into this podcast and into my career. I picked up 5 miles per day, August 1st. Today was day 49 of that. One of the reasons that I chose that goal was because I knew it would be something I could build momentum off of. If I show up and I do this one goal every single day, I'm going to build momentum in my aerobic endurance. And my Whoop and my Oura Ring, the stats on those are showing that I have gained aerobic endurance and that I've built momentum. This is also parlayed into my other areas of life where I'm starting to figure out like, what's the 5 miles a day in other areas of my life? One example is a podcast. I, for 4+ years, had great momentum with this podcast and was pumping content at least once a week. And earlier this year, I decided to press pause because I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go with the direction of this podcast. And now that I had some time off, what I'm really looking for is to just build that momentum again and get started. And that's where solo podcasts are going to allow me to do that. I've been studying a lot of other solo podcasters out there, and what they do is more of a frequency cadence. They're more intense. They're doing episodes either every day or every other day, but they're shorter. And that's something I think that I'm going to lean a little bit into is a higher amount of frequency, less amount of minutes within that frequency. I'm going to increase the intensity, increase the consistency, and that's going to help me build that momentum. It's going to be one small step at a time. Now, if I'm analyzing this podcast and how do I build momentum off of it, and my career and how do I build momentum in those areas, I need to go with Charlie Munger's inverse thinking here. I'm reading Poor Charlie's Almanac right now, and it really talks about how he always thinks in inverse thinking, where it's like, if you want to have a highly consistent podcast, how do you not have a highly consistent podcast? What is going to hurt that? And what is going to hurt that momentum? And for me, things in the past that I've realized have hurt my momentum the most is when I take on too many things at once. And that causes me to just be all over the place. And then therefore I never really gain a routine in a certain thing. And then things fall away. So that hurts my momentum. So one of the ways that I'm focusing right now is like, okay, how do I strategize on what does my week look like in terms of producing episodes and keeping it so that I'm going to have a certain time and place that I press record and system, so that immediately I take that one small step, I build that momentum, and then I kind of defeated the problem that I frequently create for myself, which is taking on too many things. This is me saying no to more things and me dialing into how do I do this. Now, what also helps the momentum in this case is I'm going to start recording episodes with my wife, and we can batch those as well. So we can sit down, and instead of recording one episode at a time, we could do 2, 3, 4 episodes at a time. That way I can sit down at a later time, edit them, get them up, and it doesn't hurt my momentum of, okay, I got to record another episode. We got to go pick our son up, and we getting into the weekend, and then I forget to record the episode. Forget is not something that I do. I'm just saying that I will not make time for that. That's a better way of phrasing that. And shit hits the fan, and I'm no longer keeping the momentum, no longer keeping the consistency, and then I get all up in my head, and it's a cyclical cycle. Another thing that has hurt my consistency and momentum in the past is perfectionism. I was just recently listening to a podcast on My First Million, and it's on the founder of Solid Core. I highly recommend y'all listen to it, but she mentioned that it was towards the end of the episode that because she's built the successful business and exited the successful business, when she was asked, does she want to do another one? She was like, one, she doesn't know, but one of the reasons that she says no is because she's no longer naive. And when you're naive, you're willing to do the extra, work really hard. There's a thrill to it because you've never been there before. And when it comes to business and media and a lot of the different things that I've done, I'm looking at it from a different lens these days. And it almost causes me to not do stuff because I'm like, man, that's going to be a fuck ton of work. Like I already know how much work is going to go into it or going to have to go into it. And I know what needs to be done and the amount of money, time, energy. And that creates a lack of will. And when you have a lack of will, like lack of action happens. And if you don't have action, you don't have results. So I'm trying to actually tap back into I don't like that word. People that know me know I've said that before. I am stepping back into being naive about this process and just pressing record. And if you're listening to this or you're watching this, really that's what I'm doing here is just pressing record, knowing that I need to get an episode down, going to build the momentum, and then I'm going to keep researching on ways to get better and provide more value to you. Today, this is me talking through the struggle around building momentum and how I know it can be valuable to other people because we're human beings. We tend to struggle with the same things. And most of the value that we get is learning how other people are conquering their problems, their issues. And if we hear how they've conquered it before we even get to it, we can then avoid that problem altogether ourselves. That's really what I want to do is educate others so that they can avoid problems that I'm having. So I've had these wins, I've had these W's, I've built tons of momentum in the past, had a child, it kind of put a lot of things on pause. And then because I don't have this naive look at things anymore when it comes to podcasting and brand building and business building, it gets tough for me to get as fired up as I used to. And I don't like that. So I'm tapping back into my youth, my childlike tendencies to just throw spaghetti at the wall and let the market do the talking, and we'll see where it goes. The other thing that I want to tap into to end this is once you start building that momentum, like what actually keeps the momentum isn't just momentum itself. When you start building momentum, what actually happens is people start noticing, and you start getting these little inflection points of understanding. I could either press the gas and be held accountable to moving this thing forward, or I can fall off. And the more that you do things to gain momentum, the more that you have these occurrences where you feel this. My running 5 miles a day, for instance, people notice and they comment on it. Now, in my mind, I'm like, shit, this means I have to keep doing this, because it's not only about me anymore. Like, other people are getting inspired by this. And I want to make it purely about that, because that's what it's about. It's like, I don't feel like I have to do it because I have to please other people. It's people that are commenting are like, I'm taking this action because I've seen CJ take this action. And now in my mind, I'm like, this has a ripple effect. So I want to keep going and see where it goes. It's another case study is since having Aiden, and I have a lot of people coming up to me talking about how I'm showing up as a father and how it inspires them as a father, and some people when they want to become a father someday and how they want to approach it. That one fills my cup, but then also makes me realize, like, I need to keep the momentum in that direction, and I need to keep going. This is not just about me anymore. I need to be held accountable to this. So accountability is a huge thing once you start building momentum. And when I think of it from the podcast point of view and career point of view, I'm also seeking that accountability in those areas. So Aaron and I are behind the scenes talking about what does it look like to rebrand this podcast and make it more about what we're up to and thriving on life as a family, rather than just CJ interviewing other people, and really making it educational, entertaining, talking about problems, how we're solving them, all with an ethos of how do we become better individuals, better as a couple, and inspire other people to want to be doing the same things for themselves. And how do we leverage these tools we have in 2024 and beyond to communicate and connect ourselves with other people that enjoy the same things and enjoy listening and talking about the same things. Talking to her about it is going to hold me accountable in and of itself. And then once we start releasing things and we start building that community, it's going to hold us accountable, just like the people reaching out about the 5 miles a day and about Aiden and how I'm showing up as a father to him. So these are some of the things I'm thinking about when it comes to building momentum, some of the areas that I'm thinking through when it comes to the podcast, career, brand building. There's some things I'm working on the public speaking side that I'm trying to build momentum in. I keep saying trying. I fucking hate that word. That I am building momentum in. Yeah. Negative self-talk. I think that's another thing that comes to mind. I don't think any of us get away from it. I haven't experienced it as much over the years until recently. I think it goes back to then being naive, because I'm no longer naive. I feel like I know things, and instead of actually executing in the way that I know I should be executing, I get in a negative self-talk loop of it's not going to matter anyway. Imposter syndrome. You're not meant to do this thing, or you're not meant to become this thing. And I'm speaking to this because no matter who you are out there, everyone goes through this when you're trying to do new things, when you're working towards doing new things. These are some of the thoughts that come up, and that's okay. That's human nature, but it's how you respond to those, thoughts that sets yourself up for success and also separates you. And I've always been pretty good at, when I have those thoughts, I respond in a way that attacks in the opposite way. So this episode is really just me attacking that, getting on the mic and starting to build some more momentum. I have a couple other concepts for episodes coming out that are going to be purely based around storytelling and sharing education to help other people and their goals. If you have anything in mind that you're struggling with and it falls in the scope of performance in life, fitness, relationships, fatherhood, business, brand building, I'd love to help you. This is one of my outlets where I get to just purely be me and reach out to other people and let them know that you're not alone and there's other people on the other end that would love to help you, me being one of them. Till next time, this is CJ Finley with the Thrive on Life podcast. Thrive on, y'all.